What could be more gripping than pondering what lies beyond this life? For those who've walked this earth for decades, watched dear friends slip away, and felt their own steps grow slower. The question of what happens after death isn't just curious. It's deeply personal. Edgar Cayce, the legendary sleeping prophet, peered into the soul's mysteries and left us with astonishing insights about the afterlife. In a long-lost recording, rediscovered after years in obscurity, he speaks with a calm that could soothe any restless heart, sharing what our consciousness might meet when it leaves the body behind. Can you imagine this treasure hidden from the public for so long has finally been transcribed by dedicated scholars, and it's as clear as a bell, direct, honest, and downright enlightening. Cayce's revelations are a game changer. He insists death isn't some dark curtain falling, but a vibrant conscious shift experienced with crystal clear awareness, for anyone trembling at the thought of that final moment. His words are like a warm blanket, offering not just answers, but a peace that's almost impossible to put into words. Isn't that incredible? This peace resonates especially with those nearing life's twilight, a comfort only they can fully grasp. Cayce didn't aim to startle us. His mission was to guide to light the way. He believed our fear of death comes from not knowing what's next. And oh, how he urged us to learn. Understanding what awaits could transform how we spend our golden years. Don't you think that's worth exploring? Picture this in that rare interview. Cayce paints a vivid picture of those first moments after we pass. The spirit, he says, slips from the body as gently as waking from a deep, restful sleep. No pain, no chaos, just a serene realization that you're still alive. But on a whole new plane of existence. Seniors who've heard this have shared how it lifted a weight off their hearts. Can you feel that relief? Cayce describes a life review, but forget any harsh judgment. It's like your soul takes a lightning-fast journey through every key moment of your life, not to face punishment, but to truly understand. The hurt you caused, the love you gave, it all comes back as raw, unfiltered feelings. No excuses, no masks. And here's the kicker. This isn't some divine court scene. It's your own soul yearning to make sense of its path leading the way. This flips everything we've been taught so many religions have drilled into us. The dread of eternal punishment, but Cayce, he saw no rigid heaven or hell, just states of consciousness shaped by our deeds, emotions, and intentions. Wow, doesn't that change how you view your mistakes? It reshapes how we plan our next steps while we're still here, urging us to live with purpose. Cayce wasn't selling dreams of a perfect paradise or waving threats of doom. He simply shared what he glimpsed in his trances. And let me tell you, his vision of reunion is enough to bring tears to your eyes. He said that after leaving the body, many souls are met by loved ones who've already crossed over. Imagine that silent, heart-stirring moment. Parents, siblings, friends. Even old flames welcoming you with open arms as if they've been patiently waiting. It's not about seeing familiar faces, but feeling their essence. For seniors who've lost nearly everyone dear, this promise that no one leaves alone, that a warm embrace awaits, turns fear into hope. Isn't that beautiful? And then there's time, or the lack of it, on the other side. Cayce explained that in the spiritual realm, time doesn't tick like it does here. A single second can stretch into forever, yet years might zip by in a blink. Why? Because the soul moves by intention, not a clock. This explains why the presence of those we've lost can feel so vivid, even decades later. Have you ever felt a sudden warmth when thinking of someone gone? Cayce says that might be their spirit, quietly comforting you, still learning, growing, and reaching out to those left behind. For those nearing the end, this sparks a hope that's hard to describe, but so easy to feel. Don't you agree, Cayce stressed, preparing your heart not with rigid rituals, but by nurturing peace, gratitude, and awareness. Your soul, he said, carries the essence of what you felt and made others feel. Not your bank account or trophies, but the love you've shared. He saw the moment of passing as a dignified, conscious farewell, not a random twist of fate. So he urged everyone, especially in their later years, to look back with honesty, ask for forgiveness, offer it, give thanks, let go of burdens. Not to impress some cosmic judge, but to lighten your soul. Because, oh my, what we don't resolve here tags along, and in the spiritual world, it only grows clearer. Those who embrace this leave lighter, starting their next journey on a brighter note. How empowering is that? Here's a fascinating twist. Case even spoke about those who scoff at life after death. Can you believe it? He said these souls might feel a bit lost. At first not suffering, but taking longer to realize they're free from their physical shell. Spiritual guides and loved ones step in with gentle care, helping them find their way. It's not about what you believe, but your inner reality, believing or not, doesn't change the journey, just how you experience it. That's why Case pushed for open talks about this, especially with older folks. Understanding this transition, he said, helps us live now with less fear, less resistance, and so much more clarity. A mature soul, one that accepts life as it is, glides through this passage with ease. Doesn't that inspire you to reflect? Case also shattered the idea that death cuts all ties. True love, he said, builds unbreakable bridges across plains. The departed aren't stuck here, but they can connect when hearts align through a heartfelt thought, a quiet prayer, or a vivid memory. He shared stories of spirits comforting those left behind, offering subtle guidance or just being felt. For seniors weighed down by guilt or longing, this is a lifeline. It means you can still say I love you, apologize, or give thanks even after someone's gone. This peace changes how we view our remaining days, no more waiting for the end, but living each moment with truth and presence. Isn't that a reason to cherish today? No one is left behind, Case assured us. Even those who've lived rough lives or stumbled are welcomed with open arms. The soul isn't judged by our rules, but seen in its entirety, every pain, choice, and regret met with compassion. Mistakes, they're just part of learning. The soul reviews its path, deciding what to tweak in future lives. Reincarnation for Case isn't punishment, but a fresh chance, as many as needed. For seniors feeling time's run out, this is huge. The soul isn't tied to a body's clock. It keeps growing, evolving, even after the final breath. There's always a path forward full of clarity and new starts. How comforting is that Case described this next phase as a soul's time in a learning realm, reviewing choices and preparing for what's next, all at its own pace. No rush, no pressure. Some linger in reflection, others move faster like students in a spiritual school. For seniors used to deadlines and fears, this is a breath of fresh air. There's time, respect, and purpose. It pushes us to start this inner work now, to be more conscious today, for a smoother crossing tomorrow. Can you see how this shifts your perspective? And don't overlook the little things, Case said, a kind word, an apology. A sincere gesture carries immense weight for the soul. Forget grand deeds. What matters is the heart behind each action. For those in their later years, this is gold. It's never too late to make a difference. A call, a hug, a note can close a chapter. And these acts don't vanish. They travel with your soul, lightening its load and brightening its path. Every true gesture, no matter how small, shapes your afterlife. How powerful is that Case saw the afterlife as an experience, not a belief. Like feeling the breeze without needing to understand it, we don't have to grasp everything to cross over. What counts is how we live now, cultivating serenity, honesty, love. He offered no magic fixes, just a journey of endless possibilities for those feeling time slip away. This is an invitation. Pause, reflect, let go of fear, and trust your soul's next chapter. How we face death mirrors how we live. Those who forgive, laugh at their flaws, and cherish simplicity meet the end with grace. Isn't it time to nurture your inner world? He's taught that attachment binds, but love frees. Clinging to those gone or past treasures blocks our growth. Honoring them means remembering with gratitude, living with purpose, not pain. For seniors who've lost so much, this transforms grief into a lighter, truer connection. Every soul Case believed has a purpose, no matter how small it seems. A grandparent's wisdom, a parent's love, a worker's honesty, all matter. After death, the soul sees this clearly, finding peace in its mission. For those wondering if they've done enough, this is a balm. Live with truth, and every moment counts. Fear of death, Case said, comes from the unknown, like hesitating at a familiar door. Crossing it reveals a silent, meaningful space where everything mistakes joys, encounters fits into a grand puzzle. For seniors haunted by past choices, this promises understanding, a solace like no other. The soul's lightness, after leaving the body, is striking. It only notices its freedom when it can't be seen or heard. Death isn't a break, but a gentle shift, like waking in a new place. This vision swaps suffering for continuity. Doesn't that ease your mind, if life is learning? Case reasoned, death is its continuation. Asked what he'd do with one day left, he said he'd give thanks for living, learning, sharing. Gratitude, he believed, is the soul's greatest gift. For seniors, this is a call. Even if days are few, they're precious. Forgive, embrace, smile, it changes everything. A grateful soul departs light, finding clearer paths. Case urged us to question his visions with an open heart, to seek our own truth through reflection. Silence, especially for seniors, becomes a space to meet the soul's depths. How profound is that? Despite criticism, Case stood firm, sharing humbly, not preaching. His words, decades later, comfort those nearing farewell. Not with answers, but with new ways to face the end. Nothing he said frees us like knowing the soul is eternal. Not to rejoice in death, but to accept it with less fear. For those carrying a lifetime's weight, it's enough to rest in questions, trusting the journey continues built on love. Case's message. Death is a bridge crossed in our own time, guided by the love we've lived. Walk lightly, and when your moment comes, find the embrace awaiting you. No one leaves alone, and love lights the way. Can you imagine the weight a single kind word carries for your soul? Edgar Case, the remarkable sleeping prophet, insisted that small acts, an apology, a gentle hug, a heartfelt note, hold immense power on our spiritual journey. He turned our assumptions upside down, declaring that grand achievements or elaborate rituals aren't what matter most. No, it's the intention behind each gesture that the soul cherishes, not the showy surface. For those in their later years, this is a revelation that sparks hope. Isn't it incredible to know? It's never too late to make a difference. A simple phone call or a scribbled message can close a chapter of pain. And Case promised, these resolutions don't fade with our last breath. They travel with the soul, lightening its burden and glowing in its consciousness. Every tiny act of truth, he said, can transform what lies beyond. How amazing is that? Throughout his profound interview, Case made it crystal clear. The afterlife isn't about what you believe, but what you experience. Just like you don't need to understand the wind to feel its breeze, you don't have to unravel every mystery to cross into the next realm. What truly shapes our path is how we live right now, cultivating serenity, honesty, and love in our daily moments. Isn't that a relief? He offered no magic potions or painless promises. Just a glimpse of what he saw in his visions, a journey brimming with new possibilities for seniors who feel time racing. By this is a heartfelt invitation. Stop, breathe, reflect. Let go of fear and embrace the truth that your soul's story doesn't end. Every choice rooted in love builds a bridge to the next chapter. Doesn't that make you want to live more fully today? Casey's wisdom shines when he connects how we face death to how we embrace life. Those who've lived with hardness often dread the final moment. but oh, those who've learned to forgive, to chuckle at their own missteps, and to cherish life's simple joys. They meet that moment with a serene grace. It's not about religion, he said, but awareness, nurturing the inner world that your soul carries forward. No one can rewrite the past, but everyone can choose how to face it now. For those in their golden years, this is a powerful call to action. There's still time to mend old wounds, to find meaning in life's toughest moments, and to let love transform every experience into light for the soul's path. Can you feel the hope in it? Case also drew a line between attachment and love. Attachment chains us, but love sets us free. How often do we cling to those we've lost, or to old keepsakes, building walls that block our spiritual growth? He urged us to honor loved ones, not by trapping them in our grief, but by remembering them with gratitude and living with purpose. For seniors who've said too many goodbyes, this shift turns sorrow into a vibrant, freeing connection. How liberating is that? And then there's the soul's mission. Oh, what a touching truth. Case believed no one arrives here by accident. Every life, no matter how humble or painful, has a purpose that transforms those who live it. A grandfather sharing wisdom, a mother raising kids with care, a worker toiling with integrity. These are monumental roles. After death, the soul sees its purpose clearly, and that realization brings profound peace. For seniors wondering if they've done enough, this is a soothing balm. Live with truth, and every moment matters. Even if your mission feels unclear, it unfolds until your final day. Doesn't that inspire you to keep going? The fear of death, Case said, springs from the unknown, like hesitating at a door we've always known, but never dared to open. But step through, and what do you find? Not darkness or loneliness, but a silent space bursting with meaning. The soul, free from the body, experiences a moment of clarity, where every mistake, triumph, and connection clicks into place, like a grand puzzle. For seniors haunted by past choices, this promise that one day all will make sense, that no pain was wasted, is a comfort like no other. And the transition itself, it's as gentle as drifting from sleep to waking in a new place. The soul sheds its physical weight so naturally that it only notices its freedom when it tries to touch the world and finds its unseen unheard. This echoes stories from near-death experiences, painting death not as a jarring end, but a smooth continuation. How reassuring is that for those nearing the end, Casey's logic is simple, yet profound. If life is about learning, death must be the next step in that journey. When asked what he'd do with just one day left, his answer was pure and direct. He'd give thanks for the chance to live, learn, and share. Gratitude, he said, is the soul's most potent force. For seniors, this is a golden lesson. Even if days are few, they're priceless. A moment to forgive, to embrace, to smile, to understand, it changes everything. Living with gratitude doesn't just brighten today. It shapes a lighter, clearer path for what's to come. Can you imagine the freedom of a soul that departs with such lightness? Case didn't demand blind faith in his visions. He encouraged us to question them with an open heart and sharp mind. The key, he said, is finding your own understanding of what it means to exist beyond the body. He suggested reading, meditating, reflecting in solitude, simple practices with massive impact, especially for seniors who often find silence a daily companion. When embraced, that silence becomes a sacred space to connect with your deepest self. Isn't it amazing how something so quiet can unlock the soul's mysteries? Case didn't push absolute truths. He handed us keys, and the greatest was this: find peace in your own silence, and you'll step confidently toward what's next. Even in his final years facing skepticism, Casey stood unwavering in his mission to share what he believed would lift souls. He said truth doesn't need defending, it simply exists. So he spoke with humility, never preaching, just offering what he saw. Decades later, his words still resonate, especially for those sensing their farewell drawing near. Not because they solve every riddle, but because they offer a fresh way to face the end. How powerful is that for those who've lived through countless changes, who've loved and lost, who've woven and unraveled life's threads? All they may seek is a sliver of truth spoken with respect. That's Casey's gift, not guarantees, but perspectives. Not rigid rules, but paths to explore. In the interview's closing, Casey's serene words linger. Nothing frees us more than knowing the soul is eternal. He didn't ask us to greet death with joy, but with understanding, trading fear for acceptance. For seniors carrying a lifetime's weight, this is the ultimate lesson you don't need every answer, just peace with the questions and trust that the journey continues. Each day your soul grows stronger, shaped by love. When the time comes, you won't depart alone or lost. You'll move forward, carried by all you've built with care. Casey's message is a beacon. Death isn't a chasm, but a bridge crossed in your own time, guided by the love you've lived. So walk lightly, and when your moment arrives, may you find in the silence the warm embrace of those waiting. Because as Case promised, no one leaves alone, and true love lights the way to where we'll all one day go. Oh, how Edgar Casey's words stir the heart and challenge the way we live. His teachings about the afterlife and the soul's journey hit me like a warm, radiant light, urging us to embrace a lifestyle rooted in love, gratitude, and truth. I'm deeply moved by his insistence that it's the small acts, those heartfelt apologies, tender hugs, or sincere words that shape our soul's path. Isn't it liberating to realize that we don't need grand gestures to make a difference? This resonates so powerfully in a world obsessed with accolades and appearances, where social media often screams for validation. I believe we must shift our focus to the quiet, authentic moments that truly matter, pouring intention into every interaction. Why chase fleeting fame when a single kind word can echo into eternity? Casey's view on love versus attachment is a wake-up call. I feel a pang of conviction, thinking about how often we cling to people or things, mistaking it for love, only to trap ourselves in grief or stagnation. His call to honor loved ones with gratitude and purposeful living is a social stance I passionately support. We live in a culture that sometimes glorifies holding on to pain. Think of the endless tributes that keep us tethered to loss. But what if we chose to live vibrantly, carrying forward the love of those we've lost? This perspective could heal so many hearts, fostering a society that values freedom over possession, connection over control. Doesn't that sound like a world worth building? I'm also struck by Casey's emphasis on gratitude as the soul's greatest force. Oh, how this challenges the negativity that creeps into our daily lives. In a society quick to complain or dwell on what's lacking, choosing gratitude feels like a radical act of defiance. I believe we need to weave this into our lifestyle, starting each day with thanks for the chance to live, learn, and love. It's not just about feeling good. It's about preparing our souls for a lighter journey here and beyond. Why let fear or regret weigh us down when we can lift ourselves with appreciation? Finally, Casey's encouragement to find peace in silence speaks to my soul. In our noisy, overstimulated world, carving out moments for reflection feels revolutionary. I'm convinced that embracing this practice could transform our social fabric, helping us live with less fear and more clarity. Let's stop running from the unknown and start listening to our inner truths. Casey's vision inspires me to live with purpose, to cherish the present, and to trust that love guides us always. Isn't it time we all took that leap, living not for the end, but for the eternal now?